Well, hello there, and welcome to Mars X3D. This is your buddy Dave, and if this is your first time here, we're glad you're here. Welcome. You'll want to learn X3D viewing. Easy to do. Link down below. Otherwise, the channel won't make much sense to you. This year-end review has over 3.5 hours of content. It's a lot of stuff that we cover. We cover more anomalies than any Mars anomaly channel that I'm aware of. And we do it in stereoscopic 3D. Anyway, this first segment, this first episode is on shaped blocks. We find a lot of blocks of stone on Mars that may not have non-fractal qualities, and that'll be explained in the non-fractal episode. But they do show evidence of having been worked. And so that's what this episode is all about. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the case could be made that both of these are just really interesting erosions. But, I'm going to let you make up your own mind about the one on the left, but I've kind of made up my mind about the one on the right. You've got that nice square piece, that cap that overlays it, and what appears to be carving on the right-hand side. I think that might have been intelligently made. Nurul Iman Supardi is new on the anomaly scene, but it's already apparent that he has an eye for this stuff. I'm always glad to work with the various navcam images because they always come in stereo pairs, and that does make my job a whole lot easier. Inside the green target is something that looks like a bowl, maybe 2 or 3 feet across. Well, that sure looks like a busted up bowl to me. I suppose it could be some fancy erosion. There's apparently an awful lot of that on Mars, according to NASA, but it kind of reminds me of this next one I found a couple years back. Is this also some of that fancy erosion? Or is it actually a trough of some kind? Since we're considered to be fringe lunatics, we'll go with the trough thing for now. Just don't tell anybody. Here's another one I went back to and worked on from Neville Thompson's GPAN of Curiosity 710. This one's easy to see inside the green target. 2 blocks that really stand out from their surroundings. Here's the old close-up I did with the arrow pointing out the square indentation on the block in back. Anyway, once again, this isn't too bad for a freehand attempt at 3D, but there's still a lot wrong with it. Here's the newer version with all the parallax problems resolved. Let's do a quick inventory. The block in back is evenly curved, quite symmetrical with any number of 90-degree angles, and then you have that square on top and the rectangle on the bottom, separated by that scoop out of the middle, which, by the way, has a lip around it. And don't forget those little toes sticking out of the bottom, like they were there to stabilize the base. Then the block in front looks like a capsized capstone turned upside down in the sand. You yourself can see the 90-degree angles, the cutouts, and even the square opening in the shadow. These 2 blocks may well have fallen off the cliff above them, but they're not part of the natural rock. Now, I tell you what, this one has been making the rounds lately, and everybody is jumping on it like chickens on a June bug. Well, here it is in X3D, and some people have called it a woman's shoe. I guess I could see that if the woman was maybe Picasso's wife. Well, let's get in just a little bit closer. And here's the deal. Nurul Iman Supardi, as far as I know, he was the first one to point this out. Every other big name in the field has said, oh, no, it's me. But this guy found it first. And what I find interesting about it, first of all, is using Occam's razor. This is probably a vetifact, something formed by wind and sand. And you can see by the fluid, curving shape of it that it's likely something caused by the flow of wind over the surface of the stone. What I do find interesting in the lower left-hand corner is that nice little square 45-degree angle block. What's that all about? Here's a good one that Mars Leaks shared just the other day, and you'll want to check out his channel here on YouTube. I'll try to remember to put a link down below, but this is a nice find. It's inside the aquamarine box. I really like this one. It's in 3 segments, and it's just full of non-fractals, at least that square on the left-hand portion with the circle inside. Whether that's a pipe or a circle or engraved something or other, who knows, but that left side has a handle on top, it looks like, in a recessed square, and of course the hole in the center of it on the side facing us with the 2 rivets or bumps. That center section looks like a line of vertebrae sticking out the top like the spine of a fossilized animal. And then that spade-shaped portion on the right, symmetrical, and it has a whole line of what might be bas-relief carving going up the middle. So what is this? Is this a stela that's been tipped over, a statue, an old machine? I don't know, but I know for sure if I was on Mars, I'd head straight for it and find out what the heck it is. Here's one my Hungarian buddy Laszlo Shabalik picked out just the other day, and as usual, the thing that we're interested in is smack on the edge of the image, which is why we have that weird little yellow arrow pointing at it. Isn't that nice and clean? Look at those sharp 90-degree angles, and of course that triangular undercut on the left side. But of course there's more to look at in this image. Down in the right-hand corner, you know, we're finding so many of these things that have little puckered whistles in the middle of their faces. So I'm calling them whistlers for now because that's what it makes me think of. But you know, we do have a nicely shaped square with rims and 90-degree angles, and right dead in the center, that little whistling pucker. Right above that, we have what appears to be, well, it looks like Boba Fett's helmet. To me, certainly not natural. Very interesting formation, if it is rock. And over here on the left-hand side, we have a partially buried rectangular block, a nice clean one. So this combination of items here makes me believe that this is part of a collapsed building, and that indeed, if we wanted to dig around in this entire area, we'd find a whole lot more. Well, I like this one because this anomaly is just hanging its cheese in the breeze. So easy to see, right up there, top center left. It seems to be made of the ever-popular Martian bluestone, perfectly shaped, perfectly symmetrical, and with 2 parallel lines running right up the center. It reminds me of some of these others that I've run across. Like this one from Misha Dreszczyk's Star Archives, which Facebook just arbitrarily deleted thousands of images. But there was no citation link on this. I recall that it's, I believe, from an opportunity. But there again, we have the same identical shape. Or how about this one? Another opportunity image back in the left-hand corner. And this time, the parallel lines are running up the side. And they appear to be carved. And of course, this one from Curiosity 3387. I mean, look at the absolutely perfect symmetrical shape, the even thickness, and it even appears to have markings across the back, a line up the middle. And as you look around, you can see other things that are anomalous as well. So are these all tombstones? Well, almost certainly not. There's some kind of markers, maybe road markers, maybe memorial markers. I just really can't imagine how they would occur naturally and all match each other so closely. So we have this big chunk of bluestone inside the green target. And we're going to take a close look at that in just a moment. But look also at those items inside the yellow squares. They are definitely non-fractal, but the resolution on them is so poor that they're not worth even presenting. Only at this distance can you clearly see the right angles, the triangle, the various aspects of the mathematics that indicate intelligent agency. Being a skeptic is healthy. And I can just hear a skeptic out there saying, come on, Dave, that's just a rock, right? Well, maybe not. Let's take a little closer look at it. For example, how about this very clearly formed cube on the left-hand side? Then there's this rectangular and triangular shaped, almost a prison shape, right on top. Look at those angles. Are those natural? And don't forget this almost perfect oval right there in front of us. There are other small details that are anomalous, but you know, based on the math that we just looked at, this is definitely non-fractal. It's definitely made by an intelligent hand. It appears to be a badly fused and melted piece of machinery, in my opinion. Researcher San Kokvix found this one in a GMAC by NEP-T of Percy 383. It's inside the green target, and I would say very conservatively, whatever it is at least 2 to 3 feet tall. So once again, is this Martian bluestone? It must be highly polished. We see the sunlight glinting off of it in 2 places. And of course then there are those markings, a square shape with a sphere in the corner and a circle dead center. We need to get closer. Some will say, oh, it's obviously a flying saucer that's crashed nose first into the sand. Well, we don't know that. All we know is that it has these markings, it has an apparent polished surface, and it appears to be artificial. There are a couple other things I wanted to point out in this GMAC as long as we're here. We'll start off today with what I'm calling an Oogie dreidel. An oogie, of course, is an object of geological interest, and there it is inside the yellow target. This reminds me of a dreidel, you know, the little spinning top that is used during Hanukkah. And you know, this seems like a geological formation to me, except that it's formed apparently with 4 sides that come to a point there in front and has that kind of decorative sphere work in the back. But I don't think it's an artifact. I think we're looking at an oogie here. But you know, I sure haven't seen anything like it here on Earth. And while we're at it here in 3403, let's take a look at another little object over there on the right inside the green target. What's interesting to me is that gray portion appears to be a perfect sphere. But then look at the black portion. It appears to be a perfect cylinder. That sphere appears to be right on the end of that cylinder. So, what is it? Researcher San Kotvik shared this one with us just the other day on our Facebook site. Let's take a closer look. People often want to know, why are the colors like that? Well, first of all, let me tell you, this is a color-balanced image, and that is the actual color, our famous Martian bluestone. A beautiful triangular block with rectangular incisions along the edge, and it looks like a base even coming off the left side. And you know, very often people will say, well, Dave, you missed this and you missed that in this image. Well, let's take care of that right now. As you look at each one of these arrows, you will find a non-fractal artifact pointed out by each one. I particularly like the one in the front center because it appears to be some kind of metallic gimbal reflecting the sunlight. And let's wrap things up today with another little bit of eye candy from elite researcher Rami Bar Ilan. And he calls this one abreuvoir, which is French for basically water trough. And you know, that's really what it does look like. It looks like a container with a nice, even, carved sections all stacked or carved. I don't know if it's carved out of a single block or just what this might be made of, or if indeed it actually is a container. But isn't it strange that the opening appears to be rectangular while the body itself is round? And before we leave this one, take a peek at this. These two little guys in the background, the one on the left reminds me of a rather ornate Aladdin's lamp, and one on the right, well, that could be natural, but it sure does have an interesting curve to it, doesn't it? Here's another one shared the other day by researcher Maria Conceição Coelho. And yes, I know that other researchers have pointed this one out, but let's be gentlemen, and give a tip of the hat to Maria. And as usual, NASA puts this one right on the border of the image, but we'll make it work. Some people have called this a jar, and some have even called it a skull. It seems to me that these images from Mars are like silly putty in people's minds. They shape stuff into whatever makes them feel comfortable, I guess. This could easily be just a rock, but look at this. There seems to be a perfectly square opening right here on the left side. It's not really likely that that's entirely natural, at least in my mind, so this one will remain an artifact candidate. For all you proud weirdos out there, you know who you are. Stay safe, and stay weird, and stay tuned for episode 2.